All right, my friends, let's talk the Psoas Tower. So this is the Psoas Tower. It is a complete game changer for your posture. So what this does, and what this, it kind of looks like a wine rack. I joke that it's my wine holder. But what this does is it brings your psoas muscle to its proper designed length. So if you're not familiar with the psoas muscle, it is your primary hip flexor muscle that actually attaches from your lower back, goes through your hip, and attaches into your inner thigh. Now this is the muscle that is in charge of lifting your leg and flexing your leg forward. So if we have any posture deviations in our gait, this is what's going to help pull those posture deviations out. It basically mimics the gait pattern, the leg separation, where you swing one leg forward and the other one goes behind you in a passive release. Now, if you really want to up your game, I would highly recommend getting this. We utilize it a lot in our video library, not in the classes, but in our video library. This is really going to help bring your legs back to proper alignment. So there's three ways to use the Psoas Tower. And one is going down every rung. The other is to stay on just the bottom rung. And then the third is this fancy little double pedal, which we really won't utilize very much in the video library. If you're a private client or an email client, we might utilize that a little bit more. So when you go down every level, you spend about 5 minutes on every level. So I'm going to kind of show you how we get set up into this contraption. So you're going to start with your big block next to you. The tower is out there a little bit further away. I'm going to hook my left foot, inside this little foot pedal, and then strap it in nice and tight. So you can see how my foot is hooked into that foot pedal. Now I'm going to lift my leg up. I'm going to put this one on the block, get rid of the hair on my leg, and then I'm going to place my top foot in this top rung here. Now, once I get all evened out, I'm going to slowly lean back. I like to readjust this block to make sure my pelvis is level, okay? So if I look down at my knee and my foot is in line with my hip, my knee is in line with my hip, and then I just chillax in this position. So normally when you are doing the supine groin progressive, you'll feel your back is slightly arched up in this position. You're going to stay in this position until you feel your lower back settle flat against the floor. So one test to see if it's settled is by pressing your lower back into the ground and then releasing. And if it pops up, like you can see mine popped up, then you want to wait a couple more minutes in this position, breathing deeply, trying to let that lower back relax, and then you can test it again. See if it stayed level. Now, if it stayed level, you're golden to switch down to the next rung. So I like to lift my foot off. I personally like to bend my knee back and forth a little bit, because sometimes, especially if you have some twists, posture deviations in your knee, you can start to feel a little bit of discomfort in the knee when you very first start out with the tower. So now I go back in, I kind of go all the way up, I hit the back of it, and I drop down. And then I do the exact same thing. What you'll feel is your back starts to slightly arch up again, and we're going to wait here until it settles. So you're going to do that all the way down, all 6 rungs. Normally it takes about 5 minutes each rung. You might be longer, you might be shorter. You might even only be able to do the top 2 or 3 rungs. It's very much dependent on your body. But that is how the tower works when you go progressively down. Now, if your video library suggests the supine groin stretch and not the supine groin progressive, then you're only going to use the bottom level. You're going to stick your foot
all the way back into the bottom level. And you're just gonna chill here. You don't have to go down all of the levels. You're just gonna stay here normally for about 10 to 15 minutes each side. If your video library suggests putting rolls behind your back, those lumbar and cervical rolls, you also just have your foot on this level, you put that cervical roll behind your neck and that lumbar roll behind your belly button.
Now the tower is a game-changing exercise, but I can empathize with the fact that it does take a bit more time than the rest of our sequences. So for you guys that don't just want to lay there on your back for the entire time, I have a little tip for you. These are called prism glasses. So if I stick them on, I can now see the ground. I look pretty silly, but I can see below me. So a lot of times this is used for rock climbers so they can see above them. Now you can get these on Amazon for $10 to $15, super cheap, but this helps you be able to read or watch TV or do anything while you're in the tower. You just lay back, you bring your book or your phone to chest level. Now you're not having to hold it up in this position and make your arms all tired. You bring it down, you can keep your elbows on this level, and now I can see anything that I want to read. I can see far away and watch TV. So honestly, I don't watch TV at night without having my leg in the tower. Now I do want to give you guys some modifications in case you don't want to go out and get the Egoscue Tower. So you can see I have a standard step ladder here, which is probably one of the best modifications that we can do because it has different levels to move our leg down those levels. So you can see I put my yoga block here. So the most important part about modifying for the tower is you have something to prop your foot up straight. So naturally your foot is going to want to start to turn out. Like if I just laid my leg out and relaxed it, it would start to relax and turn out. So we really want something to prop it up. Now you guys can get creative if you don't have something like this. Okay, so I can just show you, if I lay down, with my leg propped up at this height, leg still over the block, I can still kind of relax into this. And then when it's ready to move down, I just move my yoga block down, and I'll have to scoot back obviously, or I go out of the camera line, but that doesn't really matter. And then bring this way up here, perfect. So now you can see that it's a little bit lower but still propped up. Now the supine groin stretch is super easy to modify because you don't need to go down any levels. Your foot is just at the bottom level. So as long as you prop something up, your foot can stay in this position. Now I wouldn't use a yoga block because as you can see without this pole here it just falls over to the side. So use something a little bit thicker. Sometimes I'll have people prop their leg up on a wall. So my friends, that is the Egoscue Tower. I hope that you guys choose to utilize it because it really is going to level up your posture and make you feel amazing. Alright, I know this looks pretty silly, but one other option for a modification for the progressive of the tower is stacking a bunch of toilet paper on top of each other. I would put this up against a wall, so again, your foot stays propped up and the toilet paper doesn't topple over. But then, pretend there's a wall right here. You can relax your leg on top of this. Oh, knew that was gonna happen. But you can relax your leg on top of it, and then after every 5 minutes you just take one piece of toilet paper away. So that's another modification. I don't use it very often, obviously, but if you don't want to go out and get the tower, you can do that. Just put it up against a wall.